Welcome to day 12 of our 14-day Yogalates challenge for lower body strength and pelvic stability. If this is your first time here, check out the comments down below for more details. And when you're ready, let's get started. Finding a comfortable seated position, you might like to come onto your shins. We'll place our palms on our knees and come into a seated cat-cow. Inhale, scooping the chest forwards. Exhale, curl and round, chin to chest, just like this. Finding mobility. Noticing if there are any regions where you might be feeling sensation. Affording yourself a moment of acceptance for where you currently are. Well done. From here, we are going to come onto our sits bones, placing the soles of the feet on the mat, knees are bent, hip width distance apart. You might like to use your palms for support as we begin to lower the back down onto the mat, one vertebra at a time. For an easier variation, you might like to have your heels closer to your glutes or walk them further away towards the edge of the mat for a slightly more challenging variation. Keeping the left foot grounded, we're going to extend our right leg. Keeping it engaged, we'll begin to slowly lift and lower that leg with control, raising it to the height of the left knee and lowering it down to a few centimeters above the mat. This is really working on activating the hip flexors, the inner thighs, and you might like to point the toes here, pointing the foot so that you can really engage that entire leg. Checking in with your foundation. Is your back connected to the earth? Are your core muscles switched on? Slow and controlled breaths. From here, we'll keep our leg up and hold. Imagine as though that leg is growing longer. You've got an invisible string pulling those toes towards infinity. A few more breaths. Softening the muscles of the face. Relaxing the shoulders. And release. Well done. Placing the right foot down, we'll extend the left leg and begin to lift and lower that leg. Being mindful to keep the hip bones squared. Pelvis is stable. Breathe. Once more, and we'll keep that leg up and hold, finding activation. Final breath in this posture, and gently lower the leg down. Well done. From here, we'll draw both of our knees to the chest, extending the left leg out long, grounding down through the heel, pointing the right leg, flexing and pointing the foot once or twice. From here, we're going to slightly externally rotate that hip and begin to create some movements coming across the body, down and around. Across, down and around. A really small movement here, working the lower abdomen, the inner thighs. And we'll begin to swap the direction, this time moving the leg away from the body and bringing it back around. Keeping the hip externally rotated, the whole leg is engaged. Ensuring that the glutes stay grounded. Well done. Gently lower the right leg to the mat, perhaps observing if there is a difference in sensation between the right and left sides of the body. And we'll get set up for the other side, extending the left leg skywards, pointing and flexing the foot once or twice. Externally rotate the hip and begin to lower the leg towards the midline, down and around. This is a small movement, really working on engaging the inner thighs, engaging the abdomen. Slow and controlled breaths. Twice more in this direction, and we'll reverse the direction, going around, down and across the body. Keeping that hip externally rotated. 2 more rotations. And mindfully lower the left leg down. Well done. You might feel as though you've grown a few inches longer after that. It's a wonderful exercise to warm up the body. From here, bending the knees, drawing the right leg to the chest, interlacing your fingers behind the thigh, or for a deeper hamstring stretch behind the calf and the ankle, extending the left leg, pulse for 2, and swap. In, swapping sides, keeping both legs engaged, if possible keeping both legs straight, keeping the chest elevated, toes are pointed, the lower back is compressed into the mat. A few more rotations, unclenching the jaw, creating space between the chin and the chest, softening the muscles of the face. Pausing on the right side for a moment, breathe, and swapping to the left, keeping everything lifted, and release. Well done. Draw the knees to the chest, creating one circle in either direction. From here, we'll lower the soles of our feet down onto the mat, joining the soles together, grounding down through the blade edges, knees are spread wide, as we set up for Gomukhasana, supine variation. Feeling a lovely release for the inner thighs. And we'll get set up for bound angle bridge lifts, raising the hips and lowering down with control, keeping the feet, the knees, the hips in the same alignment. Pelvis is stable. Alternatively, you might like to extend your arms skywards, fingertips facing towards the sky, palms facing towards the midline, arms are at shoulder width distance apart. Really using your pelvis, your glutes, the inner and outer thighs here for support. Stay strong. How high can you lift those hips? You've got this. One more controlled lift, and we'll keep those hips up and pulse. Small pulses. Keep the hips up and hold. Can you lift the hips a little higher? Are you grounding down through the lateral edges of the feet? Checking in with the face. Is there any way you can soften? Maybe inviting a smile onto the lips. Stay strong. We are all in this together. Last few breaths. And gently lower down. Well done. Walking the feet out to the edge of the mat, allowing the knees to rest against one another, creating a lovely space along the lower back. And from here, we'll set up for a traditional bridge. Knees are hip width distance apart, raising the pelvis, the lower back, the mid back, squeezing the glutes, and lowering down with control. Checking in with the inner thighs. Are they engaged? We don't want our knees splaying inwards, nor do we want them angled out to the side. Finding that control, and we'll stay up and pulse. Small pulses. You've got this. Last 2 pulses, and we'll keep those hips up and hold. Static lift, stay strong. Strengthening that pelvis, you might like to interlace your fingers behind your back, really broadening across the heart space, finding a lovely stretch for the shoulders. If you are in the bind, beginning to release the hand gesture and lowering the back down 1 vertebra at a time. Well done. Knees to chest, taking 1 circle in either direction. Returning the soles of the feet to the mat. And this time we'll walk our feet a few inches away, grounding down through the heels. Balls of the feet are elevated, and we'll begin to raise our hips. Draw the right knee into the chest, lower the heel down, draw the left knee into the chest. Just like this. And this time we'll point and flex the foot a few times, lower down. Raise the left knee, point, flex, lower down, just like this. Keeping the pelvis stable, seeing how high you can lift those hips, engage the glutes. And by staying elevated on our heels, we're really firing up the hamstrings here, turning on the whole back body, moving with intention, pairing movement with the breath. A few more. Well done. From here we'll keep the hips up and pulse, still grounding down through the heels. The tops of the feet are elevated. How high can you get those hips? Staying strong. Last 2, 1, and lower down with control. Well done. Knees to chest, creating 1 circle in either direction. And once more, we'll lower the soles of our feet down onto the mat. Knees are hip width distance apart, heels are underneath knees, raising the hips up. And we'll extend our right leg out. Both knees are level, hips are level, foot is pointed. Doing your best to raise the hips a little higher, finding that activation. 1 more breath, lower the right foot down, keep the hips raised, and we'll extend the left leg out. This is a great unilateral posture to really correct any imbalances that you might have between the 2 sides of the body. It really enables us to target these muscles in isolation. Lower the left leg down, keep the hips raised, draw the right knee into the chest, raise the leg skywards, and lower down with control. Flex, extend, and lower. Flex, extend, and lower. Once more in this direction, keeping the hips level, and we'll reverse the direction. Raise, bend the knee, extend. Raise the leg, bend the knee, extend. Twice more. You've got this. Slowing down the breath. Well done. Lowering the right heel down, extending the left leg out. Flex the knee in, lift the leg up, and lower. Bend, extend, and lower. Bend the knee in, lift the leg up, and lower down with control. Once more. And we'll swap the direction. Lift the leg up, bend the knee in, extend. Lift, in, extend. Twice more. You've got this. Well done. And lower that left foot down. Well done. Keep the hips elevated, and we'll create some small pulses again. Keeping the correct alignment, imagining that you've got a straight line connecting the shoulders, the hips, and the knees. Small pulses. Last 2. And lower down. Well done. Knees to chest. 1 circle in either direction. And from here, we'll take a rolling like a ball, massaging out the lower back, the mid back. When you're ready, we will roll up to a seated position, grounding down through the sits bones, soles of the feet are on the floor. You might like to place one palm on either knee, finding length through the vertebral column. Exhale, curl and round, spinal flexion. Inhale, extension, gaze up. Exhale, curl and round. Well done. From here, setting up for a reverse tabletop, finding a palm adjustment that's suitable for you. Maybe fingertips facing towards the glutes, to the edge of the mat, or behind you. We are going to raise the hips, creating a line between the knees, the hips, the shoulders, squeezing the glutes, the inner thighs. And we want our ankles to be underneath the knees. 2 more slow and controlled breaths in this reverse plank. Well done. Lowering the sits bones down, finding length through the vertebral column and taking a flexion. Inhale, extend. Exhale, flex. We'll get set up to go again. You might like to continue with the same variation with bent knees, or this time perhaps trying to extend one leg out at a time, either grounding down through the heels, or if you have the mobility in your feet, lowering the feet down onto the mat entirely. Staying strong, raising those hips, working the entire posterior chain here. One more breath, and lower down with control. Well done, bend the knees. Inhale, straighten the back. Exhale, curl and round. Twice more. Well done. From here, we'll come into a tabletop position on hands and knees and set up for child's pose, sinking the hips back towards the heels, toes are pointed, big toes are touching, arms are extended out in front. Breathe. And from here, we'll come up into a plank position. Wrists are underneath shoulders. We'll lower down onto our forearms, staying high on the balls of the feet. Core is engaged. And we're going to lift and lower that right leg, keeping the toes pointed. Straightening the leg if possible, keeping the hips level. Lift and lower. Lift and lower, just like this. You've got this. Stay strong. We are on the final stretch here. Can you find length along the back of the neck? Soften the muscles of the face. And we'll swap sides, lifting the left leg and lowering down with control, keeping that whole leg engaged, doing your best to straighten behind the knee. And checking in with your forearms. Are you grounding down through the lateral edges, the palms, the fingertips? Really helping us lift up and out of the shoulder girdle. Last few lifts. Well done. Pausing in a plank for a moment and lowering the knees down, sinking the hips back, child's pose. From here, we'll extend the body, coming into a prone position as we set up for Sphinx Pose, Salamba Bhujangasana. Legs are extended, toes are pointed. Elbows are underneath shoulders. Either finding stillness, or you might like to create some gentle half circles with the neck, the head, finding a lovely release for the back of the neck. Noticing if there are any regions of the body where you are holding sensation. Seeing if you can guide your breath there. Lowering down into Makarasana, Crocodile Pose. Big toes are touching, heels are rotated towards the edge of the mat, placing one palm on top of the other. And in your own time, working your way upright to a seated position, extending the legs out in front. We'll come into cow face pose, crossing one knee over the other, ensuring that both hips stay grounded. Inhale, float both arms skywards. Exhale, guide the left arm behind the back, elbow facing skywards. Lower the right arm down, internally rotate the arm and maybe find a bind. Perhaps joining the fingertips together, or you might like to grab onto one wrist. Maybe folding forwards. Breathe. Well done. Returning upright to a seated position. Roll the shoulders back, uncrossing the legs, perhaps fanning out the legs once or twice, finding some mobility. And we'll get set up to take cow face pose on the other side, affording yourself a moment to take any adjustments. And when you're ready, extending the arms overhead and maybe finding the bind. If this is inaccessible, you might like to hold on to a t-shirt, a towel, so that you're still getting the same stretch, but less intense. Maybe staying upright or folding forward. Really allowing yourself to breathe into the back body. And releasing. Well done. Taking any movements that feel right for you. And when you're ready, we'll close practice in a seated position. Inhale, extend the arms overhead, join the palms together. Exhale, lower the hands to heart center. We'll close practice with 3 gradual breaths. Inhaling through the nostrils and exhaling through the mouth. Thank you all so much for today. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.